Yes.
Because my voice is very due to the fact that I'm unfortunately not feeling the best. We're just going to deal with some of the main nakudas, and then I understand it's going to be a brief farbrengen. So the year the Toshin Nun Aleph, when the Rebbe said this Shicha, then Erev Shavuos came out on Shabbos. In other words, that Shabbos, Parshas Bemidbar, was Erev Chag HaShavuos, and that led straight in to Chag HaShavuos on Yom Rishon. That's the Moitoi Shabbos, Yom Rishon. So therefore the Rebbe makes certain points based on that fact, which despite their relevance to that particular Kabiyos, nonetheless, most of the points which are made around that connection are also very real to Shabbat and Shavuos in any year. So that's why, despite the close building of Shabbos to the actual Yontif, I decided that we'd learn this year. So therefore the Rebbe begins a B'shona Zu, that means to say then in Toshin Nun Aleph, Boilat HaKesher Bein Chag HaShavuos LaShabbos. It's very protuberant, it's very noticeable, the connection between Chag HaShavuos and Shabbos. בכך שחג השבועס מגיע מיד לאחר השבוע. That Shabbos was Erev Chag HaShavuos in that year. B'yom Rishon, the actual Chag of Shavuos is on Sunday. Bo'oi, it says that Rabbi Lifnei Kain, HaShayochas Bein or Shaychas Bein Chag HaShavuos LaShabbos Mudgeshes כבר בכך שמתן תורה הויה בשבת. Whatever says independently of that time and sequence connection that we have with Erev Shavuos and Shavuos, Shabbos running into Sunday, there's a running into Chag HaShavuos, there's a connection anyway between Chag HaShavuos and Shabbos from way back. Now what is that connection? The Kuli Alma b'Shabbos Nitna Torah leYisrael. That everybody agrees that Matan Torah was on Shabbos. So what is that referring to? In the sugya of Matan Torah in Masechet Shabbos, there's a difference of opinion between the Rabbanon and Rabbi Yossi, a machlokes in Tanoim, as to whether Matan Torah was on Vov B'Sivan or whether it was on Zayin B'Sivan. And that's totally in all sorts of different factors. It's not the place here to go into, but Rabbi Yossi, he also, the Torah was given on Zayin B'Sivan, and the Rabban was given on Vov B'Sivan. So, after discussing their machlokes, the Gemara says over there that nonetheless, Kuli Alma, both parties, Kuli Alma is a way in the Gemara of saying everybody agrees. Kuli Alma, the Shabbos, Nitna Torah leYisrael. Even Rabbi Yossi, that he agrees it was a day later, he agrees that it was on Shabbos. Matan Torah, according to all opinions, was Shabbos. So that even though they differ as to which day of the month, they have differing shittas as to how the months were counted, whether it was a how do you call it, a leap month or an ordinary month, a Chodesh Ayub or not. Other cheshbonos exactly when did it occur. It says Mitzrayim and so on and so forth, different factors, but they all will agree that both of that according to each of them, it was Shabbos when actual Matan Torah occurred. So it just depends where they started counting, or how they, and the Gemara says that according to Rabbi Yosef, Moshe Rabbeinu added an extra day, all of his own opinion, etc., etc. So says the Rebbe, if everybody agrees, despite their difference of opinion, on actually which day of the month it was, but they all agreed that actual giving of the Torah was on Shabbos, and then that is clear that Shabbos has a kesher, and a very essential kesher with Matan Torah. Everybody agrees that the actual giving of the Torah is on Shabbos. V'habiyu ba'inyan, says the Rebbe, inyan shel Shabbos hu menucha. The whole basic factor in Yom HaShabbos is the inyan of rest, manucha. And it's called Yom Manucha. So there's a famous medrash which is brought down in the Sikha by the Rebbe, where the medrash says that the Eibishter didn't work on Shabbos, but yet nonetheless it's written a pasuk Vayichal Elokim Bayom HaShvi'i, that the Eibishter finished everything on Shabbos. So if he didn't do anything on Shabbos, how did he finish everything on Shabbos? So the Medrash says that there was like something missing in the whole creation. Something was essentially not there. And as soon as the Eibishter brought Shabbos, well, I know Hanami Shabbos was not doing Malacha, well, that created the finishing touch to the whole Bria. And that was Ba Shabbos, Ba Manucha. That's what the Rosh of the Medrash says. A Shabbos comes, a rest comes to the whole world, which means that Shabbos is the perfection of the whole Bria through the factor of Manucha. So the Rebbe says, therefore it's called the day of rest, Yom Manucha. And that's what we say in the Mincha of Shabbos, Yom Manucha u'kedusha li'amcha nasata. Right? So Shabbos is the day of rest and sanctity. V'kach, says the Rebbe, Gam Matan Torah pa'al manucha ba'ilam. Similarly, Matan Torah also brought manucha into the world. Al-ilam, so how does that, how do we know that Matan Torah brought manucha into the world? So it's written that the Eibishter said to the creation, that's to say all the created beings in the whole creation, he said on Yom HaShishi, Lamaiza Bereizes, he said to them, I'm making with you a condition. And he says that if the Yidden will later receive my Torah, and they will keep it, and they will receive it, then you guys have got a kiyum, meaning that the whole creation has a, how do you call it, kiyum, how to say the word kiyum, existing power to exist. But if they don't receive the Torah, or if they look to receive it, but they don't really keep it, then I'm going to bring you guys, meaning the whole creation, back to Tohu V'Avoyu. Yeah, it's a Gemara in Masechta Shabbos, also in Masechta Avodah Zarah, right near the beginning on Daf Gimel. There's the same statement on the part of the Eibishter. So we see that the whole creation was given a Tanai that they have to, the Yidden have to receive the Torah. So that means that the whole world was like potentially waiting that the Yidden should receive the Torah. So we see then that the world couldn't reach its final balance until the Yidden took the Torah. So here we see a very interesting factor, that a thing which is on a condition, tonight is a condition. The Eibishter made a condition with the world, or that already had he could that had already brought about potential state of rest in the creation. Because once people knew that did not receive the Torah, I want to say people, I mean the whole creation, then everything reached its rest, as you might say, or its, therefore the Gemara says, Eretz Yorov V'Sho Kota, that the world was like, as it were, trembling and not sure what's going to be with it. But once it heard that it's all dependent in Matan Torah, there was a certain sheket occurred, like a certain balance, and that was perfected when the Yidden actually did receive the Torah. So we see that the concept of shokoto, which means like quietness or rest, well, that came about at the beginning of the Bria through the Yidden of Matan, through the Matan Torah. So the Rebbe said, what's so necessary to bring about a rest in the Bria? What is the Bria doing that it needs to have this rest? And that even before Matan Torah actually occurred, Matan Torah was bringing about that shokoto, was bringing about that rest and what you might call silence in the form of a relief on the part of the world. So he says, Niva ha'olam l'kashatzmei, the world in its own right is created by even shel shinui v'tanua. The world is made in such a way that it's always moving and it's always changing. Everything is the whole time moving and changing, the way the world's created. For example, I'll just give you a dogma. They say that those who really understand, the nature, the way the things work, you can look at any time during the day at the way the trees are and what's happening with them and what's with the birds and what with this and with that, and you're looking up half an hour later, it's a completely different story. It's not that story that it was before, because things are moving and changing, and they say under the sea, there are immense changes take place every hour. You get huge things under the sea, which every hour they alter. They give off different, myriads of little weeny fish, and then they freeze and they don't give it off half an hour later, and things are changing the whole time. So the Rebbe said, well, that's based on the fact that time changes. Also, time, as the old saying have it in English, time waits for no man. There's no rest with time. Time's always going. So the Rebbe said the very fact that time is restlessly pressing ahead, that's like a form of movement the whole time. It's sort of not, and if you're under a movement of time the whole time, you don't have what might be called absolute rest. So the Rebbe said, Hein mitzad klolos hazman. Well, that could be described as shinoi hayomim, the change in the days, over hoivavi ozi, the past and the present and the future. He said, V'chein mitzad hashinuim aprotiyim shel kol nivra sho'iva ta'apuchi sheina. So the Rebbe said, so it is with every particular creature, not just a general thing like time, but every particular little creature goes through revolutionary alterations in short periods of time. And that's what I pointed out, that every few hours in the creation, all sorts of changes occur. I remember I was once, we were talking about South Africa. We met that South African guy who was driving the car.
Yeah.
I was once in a certain place in South Africa, down near the sea, at the bottom of the continent, down past Cape Town. And there's beautiful views of the ocean. So I was watching the ocean, and I saw these dolphins playing. Have you ever seen them? They're amazing. These dolphins, they're big, they look like whales, but they're not. And they're very playful, and they go up, and all of a sudden they jump right up in the air, and they swoop around, and they plop down into the water. And I was very impressed with this sight, So I thought at the beginning that they were dangerous, And somebody told me that, they're very harmless, and on the contrary, the sharks are afraid of them. If they happen to be around, the sharks will not come, because they are very, very swift moving, and they can fadre a shark completely, these dolphins. So I was very impressed with them. So the guy that was with me, he said, take a look at them now, and make sure you enjoy what you see, because in about another 3/4 of an hour, they won't be here anymore. So I said, wait, John, what happens to them? He said, they're doing something else completely different. The whole creation and the whole sea affects them in such a way that this hour they're doing that, in another hour they do something completely different. So that's what the Rebbe means, that the whole world is built on alterations which are enslaved to time. But as time goes by, which itself is a movement, there's also movement in the whole situation of nature. So he said, place, you've got two main factors, place and time. So the Rebbe said also place might seem to be a static thing, but it's not really. That place implies the whole idea of being kshurimim shinui. Different places imply different ideas, which is heipachama nucha. For example, since places are different, then all sorts of different men and creatures want to go from one place to the other. They have certain things that command them to move to this place or that place, and the differences permit that moving. Guys, come on, we gotta be awake. It's a bit hard. I really have no question. I put in effort. This is the story. So you gotta just request a little bit of effort to stay awake. So anyway, he says, the Rebbe, that the etzem inyan of place implies the opposite of manucha, because we have initial tiltul. Tiltul means being dragged from one place to the other. When you travel, so there's a Gemara Masechta Kesubas that says when you travel around, then your whole being undergoes what's called tiltul. Have you ever felt it? When you travel, you feel all uprooted from your whole normal Seder. And why do people have to sleep for days when they come back from a journey? Because the actual movement of one place to the other affects them. So the Rebbe said, that the demands of place are also the opposite of manucha. And that's what the Gemara calls tiltuli gavra, it's called by the Gemara. So the Rebbe says, tiltul b'gdei lagir mimochem echad l'mishneyu. To go from one place to the other is a whole business. It's all opposite of manucha. So he said, Me'achav u'b'Shabbos is taima ha'briya. However, when the whole bria was completed on Shabbos, the Eibishter ceased the whole inyan of his doing his malachas on Shabbos. Harei she'oz nirgish b'chol ha'briya kula al kol ha'chiluchim shabo. Then he said, we feel it the whole creation, notwithstanding all the differences and the different interrelated levels, we feel, kavanas HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'briya. Now this is a whole new svara which the Rebbe brings in to the. So he says, Einachanami, when the bria was finished, then there came the sin of manucha. Bo Shabbos, bo manucha. So the Rebbe said, why is it that just stopping malacha should be the inyan of manucha? L'chera manucha has got to it. Something more than just not being busy. Manucha means like you sort of reach a different state of elevation and rest. So the Rebbe said that the difference is that once the Eibishter finished the creation, it became clear what was the purpose of the whole creation. Kaviyachol, when things stopped being created every day, and then there was a day of no creation, it was possible for the whole Bria to realize what is going on around here, what is happening, and who is the Creator, and what is he, as it were, what is he hoping for from us. What is the tachlis of the whole creation? So the Rebbe said, if you realize what is the kavanah, what is your kavanah, what does Hashem want of you, and what does He want of any given Indian, then you're at peace with yourself. Because you know either you're doing what Hashem wants of you, and if you're not, then get cracking and do. And once you do that, you will be in the state of rest. That is the emes of rest, when you know that what you are doing is what Hashem wants you to be doing. Did you hear that? That's what he says. Shehoya kavana achas v'yechida shel kol hapratim kulam. There became clear that all these tremendous details and all this unbelievable universe, it's all, as it were, united in one purpose. One purpose. Kasher mizbarer shekol hapratim v'achilukim heim chelik mimatar achas. That all these details and all this wondrous multiplicity is all just like one part of a huge, one and only plan. That brings, manucha b'kol habriya. And therefore says the Rebbe, what became clear on what is it then? What is the secret that became clear on the Yom HaShvi, when everything stopped and the whole business stopped? It became clear that the whole purpose of the Bria was only for the sake of the Eibishter and to reveal his Malchus, how they call it, in the world. And therefore we see that Adam Arishon, for example, as soon as he saw that the creation was finished, he gathered together all the animals. You know the story. And he said to them, now that we're all here, let's go and bow down in front of Hashem our Maker. Yes. So he got all the animals and all everything together, and they all went and bowed down in front of the Eibishter. In other words, that everybody saw that the whole purpose of the Bria was only to reveal him and to reveal how he can be the leader of the Tachtonim, and he can even dwell in the opposite of his greatness, the Tachtonim, and nonetheless he can be there. That one and only Kavanah became clear on Shabbat. Until then, there'd been so much happening that hadn't become clear. It was only known to the Eibishter. But once there was like a stop in the whole process, then the whole Bria, including the animal, that's the whole thing. And therefore, Liyazid Love, when Moshiach will come, all these different things that are going to happen with the animals, is all part of what they really were at the beginning of the Bria. And they lost all those perfections because of the Chet Eitzah Adas, Kemuvah in Medrash Chazal, and also in Chassidus. So therefore says the Rebbe, Ukafisha Royim Feirish, and like we see in simple terms, we see openly, Shabbos Kashura Imanucha B'shnei Atchumim, Zman Umokim. So the Rebbe, therefore we see that Shabbos brings this in the two main governing aspects of the creation, time and place. And Shabbos introduces a whole new dimension into both of these two things. How does that go? So the Rebbe says, this is a well-known point in Chassidus, but it comes out here very amazingly. So the Rebbe says, Yodua sheShabbos hi aliyah l'mayla mi'hazman. It's well known that Shabbos is beyond time. And therefore, even though the clock ticks on Shabbos, of be'emes, Shabbos is l'mayla mi'zman. And you're supposed on Shabbos to be higher than time. In other words, even though you're doing something according to time, you're supposed to be not governed by time anymore. So where do we see that? So the Rebbe says, Shelochein betchilas hashavua haba matchilin noishuv yom rishon. On Sunday, what do we say? Hayom yom rishon b'Shabbat. So Yom Rishon means the first day. Now, how many millions of days have there been up till now? So we've counted 7 days. We should say Hayom Yom Shmini or Yom billion, trillion or something like a day. The fact that we don't do that and we start all over again and we count continuously in a cycle of 7, that's a sign that something happens, that the number gets broken and it starts all over again. Wow. So the Rebbe said, what breaks the number? Shabbos. Shabbos goes up beyond time. Therefore, when you come back into the weekday, you start all over again. Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing idea. And you should realize that the Rogatchover Gaon, he once said that Shabbos, from the moment when it becomes Shabbos on Friday, late on Friday afternoon, till Motzei Shabbos, it's like a whole new unit of time. It's not time in the normal way, it's like a whole new, it's called Shabbos. It's like a whole passage of time, not in the way of time at all. And that's got certain applications to certain laws, and that's what the Rogatchover said. It's an amazing idea. Anyway, says the Rebbe, Yom Sheni v'chein Olam. So he says, Kivan she'ein heim mahavim hemshech l'shavua hakoidem. They're not a continuation of the previous week. Why? Since Shabbos is higher than Zman, and therefore the coming week is not a continuation of the last week. It's a whole new start all over again. V'chein b'mokim. Here the Rebbe says a very amazing thing, that on place also, on Shabbos, you're not in place in the normal way. In other words, there's a pasuk in the Torah which says that Al Yotzei Ish Mimkoimoi B'Yom HaShabbos. You're not allowed to go outside your place on Shabbos. In other words, Shabbos it requires you to be in one place. So the truth is, the Rabbanan learned that there's a thing called Tchum Shabbos, that's got Alpayim Amma. If you're in a city, then you got Alpayim Amma all round, and you got, if you're in the middle of a field and there's no city around you, then you have Arba Amma, different things, but you are required to remain within those, albeit what you might call given dimensions by the Rabbanan, of you have to remain in one place. You're not allowed to move from one place to the other in a significant way. You only have to stay within a range of space which has been given to you either by the Torah or by the Rabbanan. So therefore it says, Isa hayetzia chutz l'tchum. The forbiddenness to go outside the tchum, or mashu mutar l'odam l'alegas b'teich ha-tchum. Sometimes the tchum can be Alpayim Amma or can be a whole city. He said, mishum shekol zeh niklal b'im koim. Oh, that is called his place. The Rabbanan fixed it, that's called his place. He said, v'ein kan evi tiltol v'nigod l'manucha. Im kain, since that's your spot, that's not against the idea of Manuch. It's not niklal in the concept of tiltal. We seem to have a serious problem it's more than usual. People are just shutting off. But anyway, I guess my job is just this famous story of the Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua in the Gemara, that Rabbi Eliezer held that on Yom Tov, you have to learn. No, he's not allowed to eat or go home or make a meal. You just have to learn the whole Yom Tov. So it's written that he used to sort of saying his drosha after Tefillah Shachris. He had a huge full base of medicine, all the people who were listening, and he started anyway. And then he gradually noticed, Rabbi Eliezer, that one by one, people were starting, because they couldn't hold by what he held. They wanted to go home and eat something, he said, or be with their families. But one by one, they all started moving. But Rabbi Eliezer kept going with his drosha. In the end, it's written Rabbi Eliezer stood in the Gabbai of the base medrash, walked up and he said, Rabbi, here's the key, Eventually, when you will decide to leave, you should be able to leave. Lock up the shul. In the meantime, we go, Rabbi Eliezer still darshan. Wow. So we have a good limud, We've got to keep darshaning. So, therefore, says the Rebbe, both man and mokim are different on Shabbos altogether, and they're beyond time and place. Are you a kilo, as it were, stuck in one place? Chas v'sholom. That is what the greatness of Shabbos stops you having to move around. Yeah, stops you having to move around. So therefore says the Rebbe Kalema, Amanucha Nasis, Kasher Mizgala Berprote Abriya, Kavonas Bria. So, now here's a very profound point, that Manucha, the whole concept of Manucha, is achieved once it becomes clear what, in all the details of the Bria, what is the Kavanah? What is the ultimate Kavanah in the whole Bria? That becomes revealed, that affects all the details. In other words, that all the details become oilev and absorbed into one Kavanah Klolius Atzmis. So that's what happens on Shabbos, and that's why on Shabbos you're beyond time and beyond place, because whether you want or not, you get drawn up into this perfection of Manucha. Not just that you stop working, but you have time to bring into Gilui in your life and in those around you, the Kavanah of the Bria, and you bring all that into the details of the Bria, and then that's called Manucha. That's what's called Emes Manucha. Yeah, that's the most amazing idea. So therefore says the Rebbe, Hamanucha, Nasis Kashem Izgala Beprote Habriya Kavonas Bria. So what was the whole purpose of their creation? V'inyan zeh naseba Shabbos, the realization and the coming into acquaintance with your real creation of purpose is Davka on Shabbos. He said, it happens every Shabbos, but it came about in perfection on Matan Torah. Why? Because the whole Bria was still waiting to a certain extent. The Eibush had made a condition. So even though there'd been Shabbos up till then, and they brought about a realization of the Bria, but it was still a little bit, how do you call it? Not certain if that's going to remain like that forever. And therefore on Matan Torah, when the Yidden did receive the Torah, then it became, as it were, a permanent factor. However, says the Rebbe, that what is Emes Manucha and perfect Manucha is when you realize what are you really doing in the world, then you act B'toich Manucha. Then you act in a way that all the details and specific things that you do, all that is done in a restful way. So he says, V'azai niris begilui u'mergeshes b'kol prate ha'olam oisach tachlis. Then everybody feels in all the details of that particular tachlis. Yeah, they see in every detail as part of the general ultimate purpose of the creation. And he said, V'zehu matzav shel manucha. So the Rebbe said, that's Manucha. Manucha is when you come to realize what is the ultimate purpose of everything. And you see yourself as part of that. And you see yourself as taking part in that, adding to that perfection and that purpose. Then you're in a state of Manucha, which means that you can be in a state of Manucha in the weekdays also, not only on Shabbos. But on Shabbos, it sort of reaches a very high perfection. And that affects all the days of the week. And therefore, according to the Arizal, so many days after Shabbos are still, not just the Arizal, but according to the Gemara. You can make Havdalah up until Tuesday night. Why? Because it's still like a continuation of Shabbos. And then Wednesday is the beginning of preparing for the coming Shabbos, which means that it's all the time a certain aspect of Shabbos And that unbelievable manuka, which is hidden in Shabbat, becomes part of your life also in the weekdays. Why? Because you know what is the ultimate purpose of the Bria. The ultimate purpose of the Bria is to express Hashem and to be part of His will and to do what He wants and to make a dira for Him, but taktoinim, that's the whole inyan. Oh, of Amela, it follows then that a whole different idea of manucha. Yeah, people think that manucha means to put your feet up, in chapa shlo, or even in the middle of a shir, the chapa shlo. Yeah, they think that's manucha. Yeah. So the Rebbe says, lav davke. Manucha is when you stop what you might call the ritual, the rat race, and you come to realize, where you're really holding, and what is the ultimate purpose of everything, what's your part in that purpose, then you're at complete rest. Then whatever you do, it will hold you in perfection, because you're doing that what you were created for, or that is called genuine rest. In other words, that love davkir, that physical rest is always rest. Physical rest is like a negation of malacha, that's for sure. But then that negation of malacha elevates you to the point where you see what is really the emissary purpose of you and what is the ultimate tachlis. Then you act matoch emissary manucha. So he said, tachlis, let's sum up in a few words, what is the tachlis? So the Rebbe says, tachlis he, wait a minute, where am I? Vadvonim nikorim, slicha. So the Rebbe, vadvonim nikorim, gam b'pashtus advorim. Even if you look simply at the behavior of the world and people, b'teva b'nei odom, in the simple nature of man, shekasher hu eino magish es hakavona v'atachlis b'chayov, azai hu b'matzav shel chois hasheket. When a person doesn't really know what he's doing with his life, he doesn't really know what is the tachlis, and he can't really figure what he's here for, he doesn't really feel rest. He doesn't feel restful. No, he's always in a state of what you might call, what's the word, like struggle or uncertainty with himself. He doesn't really know what's he doing, what's he really here for, etc., etc. And therefore, he also brings that into others. It's like catching, and he creates like unrest around him. That's why you get so many of these things in society where people become like, negative effects and negative figures in society because they don't really know what they're doing, so they just they cause unrest and even unbalance in society. Or somebody who knows what he's doing and he knows he's on the right path, then he wouldn't do things like that because he acts in a way of absolute certainty and manucha. Therefore, says the Rebbe, shekasher hu eino margish hakavona v'tachlis, azoi b'matzav shel chois hasheket u'manucha. V'davke kasher hu chosh, it's a tachlis v'amatorah. When he understands what is the purpose and the aim of his creation, azay yesh lo manuchas hanefesh u'manuchas haguf. Then he has also manuchas haguf. Nobody's against him having manuchas haguf, but he gains the manuchas haguf in the right seder. First of all, he gains manucha in his nefesh, and then he gains manucha in the guf. Like we said, since he's so restful and he knows what he's really doing, then he has a good effect on society. He brings that rest. But somebody who's not sure what he's doing and somebody's not at rest, then that leads to what they call vandalism. It leads to all sorts of extremities, because a person doesn't really feel, what's the purpose of what's he doing around here? So he tends to take it out on others. You follow? For example, in this modern world, you have a whole craze of people believing, for example, in getting married very late in life, setting up And so you ask them why they say they want to see the world, they want to have a good time, they want to do this. So in the meantime, they go all around the world, and instead of really doing anything positive, they just end up getting into all sorts of little things that would have been better that they had stayed out of, you follow? Why? Because they're in the state, they think they're having a good time. And they think they're really resting up, and really they're botching it. They are interfering with things. But somebody who knows what is the kavanah, and part of the kavanah is to set up a home, or to be united and called Yidden in a certain purpose, which is the Abbas's purpose. So then he's creative, and on the contrary, he brings that creativeness into the whole creation. So therefore says the Rebbe, "V'atachlitzi shemepchina zu shel manucha tushpa hamanucha gam lo eisam protim shel zman u'makim akruchim b'shinuim." So the Rebbe said the ultimate point is that your manucha should also go into those details which we said they're not shaykh to manucha, like time and place. He said, if you are in Emerson Manucha, then you can affect the world, ad kedikach, that things which seem to by very definition to be given to change and unrest, you can bring rest into them. In other words, the Shabbos you realize what is the Emerson Kavanah, and that causes a broch in all the days afterwards. All the days afterwards are Malachah days, the days where you go into the world. But since you kept Shabbos the right way, and the Manucha of Shabbos was realizing what is the ultimate tachlis, then you create that state also in all the days of the week and all the details that will be carried out during those days. So there he said, Kasher asukim b'inyonei ha'olam inyonei tenua v'shinui. But once you kept Shabbos, then you can go back into inyonim of shinui and tenua, and you can bring into that the state of rest. Therefore, that's why it is that by Yidden, Shabbos never really goes away, like we just pointed out. And that's why Shabbos is so essential, that it affects all the details which are governed by unrest. And that's how we bring a new state into the whole creation. And that's what the Gemara says in the Gemara I quoted at the beginning. The Gemara says at the beginning the world was like uncertain and unrestful. Bo Shabbos, Bo Manucha, that's in the Medrash. But the Gemara says once Yidden received the Torah, then Shokota, the whole world became quiet and at peace with itself. So what does that mean? What it means is that you become a positive influence and the whole world becomes, as it were, restful and aware of what it's really supposed to be doing. So, Kalima, the Rebbe says, what does this mean? But again, to each individual. So he said that means to say that b'aveidas Hashem yeshnam kama shlavim v'dargis. He said in the service of Hashem there are different stages and different levels. Ach hadarga hanayil is beyosahi, over the highest level in serving of Hashem. Kasher nirgeshes b'kol inyonei aveda hanakuda ha'aretz. So the Rebbe said, the Ike in Avodas Hashem, and what brings you to the highest point in Avodas Hashem, is when you feel in everything you do in your Avodah, what is the Nakuda Atzmius in the whole thing? What is Kilo, the thing that says the ultimate tachlis? And once you make that foremost and you are aware of that, then all your service to Hashem takes on a different light. And so he says, what is that Nakuda Aras Shalamayla Mischalvas? It's not given to interdivision, but that's what the Mishnah says at the end of Masechta Kiddushin. The Mishnah says, Ani loy nivreisi ela l'shamesh eskoini. I wasn't created only to serve the Eibishter. What that means to say, I don't have anything to do in this world, only to serve Him. In other words, my whole being and my whole situation is only that every detail should be devoted to serving Him. So So he said, once you realize that your whole life is all service to him, then you become a restful person. Everything you do is to be based on that tachlis, and you come to realize that the ultimate tachlis is not looking for a good time, but the ultimate tachlis is to bring to Gilei Elokus in the world and make a deal as part of a tachlis. That's and it's an amazing thing that the Rebbe says people are so busy, even in good things, that they don't really realize what's the Nakuda Panemius, you know. The Nakuda Panemius is that you were only brought into the world in order to serve him, and everything is centered around that. Everything takes another aspect altogether. So the Rebbe says, but even Kloli Ainen Mizbater B'kiyum HaMitzvahs. Generally speaking, I am only created to serve my master, gives itself out and expresses itself in keeping his commandment. So he said, Mitzad Achad, from one side, there are 613 mitzvahs, Tariag mitzvahs, Protim Shoinim. And that's a lot of 613 is quite a lot. He said, Akatzada Shova Shebekulam. He said, nonetheless, there's a uniting common factor in all the mitzvahs. Akavana Klolis Shekol mitzvahs is Asher Kiddishonu b'mitzvahs v'tzivonu. That I got to know that I'm only a server of him. He created me and commanded me. In other words, I'm only a Eved. I was brought into the world only l'shamesh eskoini. And that's the purpose of all the mitzvahs. Oh, that's the Indian of tzivui, makes you into a Eved. Once you're a Eved, you only do what is commanded, what is proper to be doing, and you don't get lost in all sorts of side things, even though they may appear to you to be good things. But your holiness only, and so there he goes into quite a discussion, which later on he develops on it, but again, to certain inyanim in learning Torah, is the Indian, what we call considered as bittul. Or bittul means self-nullification. As you come to realize that you're only in the world for the sake of him. You're not really an entity. You don't really represent yourself. You only represent yourself in the sense that you have an achrayus to him to carry out what he really wants. But you're not really here to put anything in your pocket. Ultimately, you're only to do things for his sake. Says the Rebbe, well, that's the Indian of mitzvah. Therefore, we find that there's something that links all the mitzvahs together. That even though there are 630 details, but they all sort of link together, and they all come together. And that is that we find that if somebody's oisik per mitzvah, then he's potter mina a mitzvah. If you're busy with one mitzvah, then you potter from the other. So it's put down in Sforim that why does I'm busy with one mitzvah, why am I potter from the other? So it's put down that each mitzvah has in itself like a yiskalus of all the mitzvahs. Like all the mitzvahs are somehow or another embraced inside each mitzvah. So that when I'm doing this mitzvah, indirectly I'm doing another mitzvah, you understand? And that particular mitzvah that's under discussion, I'm really indirectly doing that as well. Why? Because it's kol inside the mitzvah that I'm doing. So what puts it inside the mitzvah I'm doing? There are two different things. What puts it inside the mitzvah that I'm doing is that it's the will of the Eibashter, and he commanded us to do that. And that's common to all the abdas of Ani Lo Nivresi, Ela L'Shamish Eskoini. That's there in all the mitzvahs. When I'm doing one mitzvah, I have that aspect of all the mitzvahs. They're kol inside the mitzvah that I'm doing. Therefore, if for some reason I can't possibly do the other mitzvah, then to a certain extent I'm patur there, No, it doesn't mean that I have no shaykhs anymore. It means that the mitzvah that I am doing is koilen itself that mitzvah. Yeah. That's an amazing idea. Yeah. And so that general point of ani lo nivresi ela shamesh koini, or that rotten and that power inside the mitzvahs of tzivanu, that's called ratzon. The Abish's will. And ratzon is a word kloli. It's not a specific word. Ratzon means what the mensch wants. And he can want whatever you want. the ratzon, the way it is in a mensch, is something not limited to any particular prat. It just, if he wants, it will go to a certain prat. But it's not limited by any prat. Ratzon means whatever he wants is his ratzon. So the Rebbe said that what links all the mitzvahs together is his will. Therefore, at the end of Pirkei Avos, it's brought down that Yehuda ben Tamar, he says you have to be like a tzvi, and you have to be like a leopard, and you have to be like a lion, with the whole thing. La'aseis v'tzein avicha shebashamayim. So he means to do everything that the Eibusha wants. Why did he say v'tzein avicha? But that's a singular expression, because all the mitzvahs all unite in this one central thing, that they're the Abish's will. So that your whole thing in life is to be given over and devoted to what is the will, what is the Abish, what does he really want. For that you need a Rebbe, for that you need advice, but that's your basic thing, to know what is the ultimate will of Hashem. And that can express itself in all sorts of hundreds of different ways. Okay, so there we are, my guys. I see that everybody needs a bit of manuka, so all and you should realize that at the end of the Sikha, the Rebbe says that people should write Chidushi Torah. He says they should everybody should try and come up with a Chiddush. So there is what's he looking for Chiddushim? That when you take on yourself, as it were, bring out something new, that it creates in you a deep inner challenge to be correct and make sure that what you're doing is right to the depth and the profundity of the inyan. So the Rebbe said that if it was a pretty impossible thing to demand of each individual yid, he wouldn't mention. But it's certain that every yid says at the end of Shemoneh Esrei, "V'sein chelkeinu b'seirah." So what is the saying chelkeinu? That means that each one of us has got his own individual chelik in the Torah. What does that mean? That he can say something that other people are not going to be able to say. He can reveal something in the Torah. So the Rebbe said, if you will take on yourself to do that, then you work so hard and honestly at it that you will try to bring out something good. So therefore the Rebbe said, he's in favor of people writing Chiddush. That's what the Rebbe says at the end of the season. I'm just mentioning that for good measure. So we're ordered for 10, right? Good. Okay. So is there something in the form of praying in here?
Trying to open it.
I'm not talking about the plastic, I'm talking about the computer.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
This is more important.
Why are you spitting on the
What?
Why are you spitting on the plastic?
No, I'm trying everything. It is?
Or
Now we get questions.
I have it. I have it.
that's because I talked about it. Now what do you want to do here?
It's open. Zephyr doesn't open up. I think it was
That's
impossible.
it.
People are watching this, you know. They're laughing.
You can give them some
That's right.
give them some menucha, that's good.
And so Leo, you're folding hidden treasures.
Mendo, grab this, will you please?
Right.
Oh, take the camera. Mordecai's in charge here.
Who takes this apart?
You're up. Who's on first?
Mendel, put some wine.
No?
Chaim.
Parshas.
Moshe,
זה טובות.
Chodesh.
שיעור לגעש ומוחץ.
Oh man.
Tonight is Rosh Chodesh Sivan. And today was the Rosh Chodesh Sivan. So we see that
חוש, זה האם זה חוש זה דק. יום של חדישות.
Chidush.
חושה.
So we see that the Alter Rebbe in Parshas Yisrael, in the Maimah B'Chodesh HaShlishi, B'Yom Hazeh Bemidbar Sinai, that's referring to Rosh Chodesh Sivan. Over there, the Alter Rebbe says right there are two states, there's Erev Rosh Chodesh and Rosh Chodesh. And Erev Rosh Chodesh is how we see that the moon goes down to a state of almost loses its whole state. It becomes like a state that's not, how do you call it, a nakuda, vinzikavi nakuda. And then on Rosh Chodesh, it's like a tremendous awakening and reopening of the whole building at the moon. So the Alter Rebbe says that on the Erev Rosh Chodesh, that's the inyan from bebeit, that's the inyan from Bittul, completely, that he gives himself away, al-manas, that he should become like a new moon. So he has to become like a new being. And that's exactly what we were talking about in the Rebbe's Sikha, that we see that in order to realize what is the ultimate kavanah, what is really everything all about it, to become part of that, in other words, to rebuild yourself in the right way and refine your whole materials. You got to lose your materials. You got to give yourself away in the form of a bittul, of a Kabbalah soil, complete. And then you gain a whole new light because you're a kli. The inyan from bittul is kli. Alidei, what a man's is bottled, then he's a vessel. He's elderly. That's what we find at the Alter Rebbe says that Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh have a certain similarity or link together, because it's written that Gabi Lioset Lobe that Bahoyo midei Chodesh b'Chodshei or midei Shabbos b'Shabbatei, then Yevoyo Kol Bosel Lishtachavos Lifnei Hashem. So we see that he puts Rosh Chodesh together with Shabbos. So what is the inyan, what's the inyan, what you might call it, that's similar in Rosh Chodesh and Shabbos? Because Rosh Chodesh you can do malachas, on Shabbos you can't do them. But nonetheless there must be some inyan which is similar between them. So the Rebbe says that the koyach malchus, in a malchus, which is the inyan of Dibur, which the Eibishter brought about the whole Bria, well, that has an aliyah on Shabbos, also on Rosh Chodesh. And on Rosh Chodesh, it's oila into Chokhmah. And Chokhmah, as it were, talks into Malchus, so it becomes a different type of Malchus. Because Chokhmah is even from Bittul to the Eibishter's Kavanah. However, it's Meir in all the details of the world, the Eibishter's Kavanah. So that on Rosh Chodesh, it's not an ordinary weekday, Rosh Chodesh. Therefore, in the Nevuah of Yechezkel, and Yechezkel says that Rosh Chodesh is not Yom HaMaisa, it's not an ordinary day. And the Nazi used to open the gate that led to where the people used to be Mishtachaveh on Rosh Chodesh also. Shabbos, Yom Tov, but Rosh Chodesh also, you used to open this big gate, and there was this big gila alakus of people in stuff. That's also on Rosh Chodesh. So, come to Israel on Rosh Chodesh, where Makavu Michochma, Bittel, yeah, Bittel. And so, what that means is that on Rosh Chodesh, you got the ability to see things differently. You know, that everything is made in a different way. And you see what you might call there, Emes Nakuda. And that's what the Rebbe says in Nasiket. If you chap the Emes and Nakuda, then you're not beyond a Maisa anymore. You're not on an ordinary day. You're on a Manucha Dika day. It's a day of Manucha. The difference between Rosh Chodesh and Shabbos is that on Shabbos is Maya Oinig, Tainum, which that fulfills both the Moichin and the Malchus, that sweeps over everything, and that's a very high Makif power. But basically, Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh are similar in that Malchus goes up to be Mekabel from Chokmah. On Shabbos, it's not only Mekabel from Chokmah, but also from Oinig, from Tainum. That's due to the fact that during the 6 days of the week, we've been busy with the Berurim, and that causes the Agish Oinig. The same kind of Machim is not the place there to get involved right at the moment. Suffice it to say, the Rosh Chodesh, you have the ability to see things differently. And therefore it's written over there, it's Yom Hazeh, on this day, Bo Bemidbar Sinai. So we learn from the word there, to Rosh Chodesh, that this was also on Rosh Chodesh Sivan. And when they came into the Midbar Sinai, it was Rosh Chodesh Sivan. So we see that from the word Zeh, that's the way we learn that it's Rosh Chodesh. We learn it Gezer Rosh. So Gemara in Masechta Shabbat. However, we see that the word Zeh is Gilui. Zeh is revelation. It's the revelation of the Moichin coming down and showing you the way. You see things differently. Therefore, you're in a state of Manucha. But it's a Manucha which says, I'm in a state of Manucha, but I want to get cracking. And I want to do, what is the Emes Tachlis, according to what I understood. Since I understand that everything's only for Him and only to serve Him, what's my part of that out? What do I do in order to carry that out? You follow? So the truth is that you need a Rebbe for that, to tell you exactly what you should do. But the Rebbe left so much, there's so many things, so many inyonim that we have, that, you have to talk with a mashpia, you have to talk with madrichim and mashpiyim, and you can find what is your inan that you should be doing. And if the chokmah and the bittul shines into that, then you can become a different mensch, and that's Rosh Chodesh. It's just that here, you're moving towards Matan Torah. So in the Rosh Chodesh itself, there's a big opening towards Matan Torah. Matan Torah is Shabbos Levi. You come to the realization, what are you really doing here? What's really the ultimate story? The Rebbe revealed to us that our generation's ultimate story is to bring to the ultimate tachlis that was met right from the beginning. Not just a bittul to rotzen koinoi, not just to make a dira b'taktonim, to make a dira b'taktonim b'shleimas, that should be the inya from gilei elakus l'kol ha'olam kulei, even the umas ha'olam, and that's the inya from Moshe. That's the inya from Moshe. The extra light that the Chokhmah gives us on this Rosh Chodesh is to lead us into an opening whereby we'll be able to be Mekabel the Torah, and Lafisa, light up the whole world, Kulei Mamish. And Ali Deitzer, there won't be any reason why Hashem had to call it, will clinch the deal. We'll make it so, necessary. And obviously, Mashiach has to come to this level. And that's the amazing connection with Rosh Chodesh. That Rosh Chodesh got a mile. The Alter Rebbe says that Rosh Chodesh has a mile. And that is that you can do malach on Rosh Chodesh. That's a chison, like a Shabbat. Because Shabbos is so high that you can't do any malachas. Oh, he said the fact that you can do malachas has got a tremendous milah in that you can bring what we learned in the Sikha into the actual action of the world. And you can unite the two together, the ultimate purpose with all the details. And that's a big milah. And that's a preparation for Matan Torah, because that's ultimately what the Torah is all about. Amela Hashem Shadal. And we should see what we're really supposed to be doing. And we should take it, do it each one according to his koiches and his inonim, and do it b'simcha, and Kabbalah Satera b'simcha b'pnimiyas, and Pilti Sovig, that Moshiach will be with us, Be'ez Hashem. We're also to very elevated days going now. It's all counting of the days till Shavuos in a very home run way. Up to now we'd be counting, but now we're on a home run.
I thought he meant baseball.
As long as we have a minyan now, there's a lady that comes to shiurim to Chabad. She asked, today is a special day, Erev Rosh Chodesh. Erev Rosh Chodesh 7 is a special bracha for chinuch, for the tefillah for the children, Zari, the Zera Zari. It's a tefillah for Shalom. It's a special tefillah for Shalom. She mentioned her children, she's mishtatev over here, come to the shul. So I mentioned Aaron Hananel Halevi ben Shulamit Achana, Ashrit Idit bat Shulamit Ochana, Iris Meirav bat Shulamit Ochana, Leib Mordechai bat Ashrit Idit, Sora Lilian bat Ashrit Idit, Urit Leah bat Ashrit Idit, Shoshana Adam bat Iris Meirav, Adam Nachman Kim Derech HaMelech Derech Hashem. Chיים, But that means that it could be that you're doing a lot of things, and in details they're good, but the question is, are you really doing Rotzen Hashem? What does Hashem really want? Well, for now,
that before you carry out what looks to be very good things, you can't know if it's really rotten avicha. And then even rotten is a unit quality which links all good things together, as long as they're according to his will. And therefore, I had a big mashpia called Baba Pliskin. I don't know if you did you know Baba? Probably not. No. I don't think there's anybody you know. Did you know Baba? I can't know Baba. So anyway, so he used to say that the Eibusha has a will. The Eibusha's got a rotten. So he said, not everything that glitters is gold. Not everything that glance is good. You have to know if this is really the rotten of you, if this is what he would really want. And if it is, it's linked with the whole Klolos Abriya and everything. So that's what he really wants. But it could be that there's certain details, but they're left up here what Hashem really wants. And therefore you have to have, the Rebbe wanted so much that we should have mashpiyim, we should have madrichim and adequate rabbis, mashpiyim, because sometimes you need a bit of help, you need a bit of guidance to know that what you're doing is really rotzen Hashem. It's not just something that looks good, but you've got to work out, is it really the rotzen, amiti, or the Eibusha? And that's what links together all the mitzvahs, and that's what leads to the ultimate tachlis of the whole Bria, like the Rebbe said in the Sikha. And that's the inyan van ani loy nivrezi elo l'shamish is koini. Malhoyin is to do what the Eibusha wants, not what I would like to do, even if it's a very high inyan. For example, we find that Siddur tells us there's rotzoi v'shoy. So Rotz is a very high inyan. If you're holding by Emes a Rotzoi, you're going up high, you want to get high, and you're reaching heights, and it's big time. That's not Tavki what the Emes wants. Love Tavki, that's his will. Yeah, what does he really want? He wants Shoy. He wants he should be down here, and he should be making the world into a place that he wants. You follow? Dira b'taktainu. And making the world into a Mashiach world. That's what the Rebbe was. I remember Rebbe used to say to me, listen, that's good, and that's good, and that's good. He said, but the Eibusha hat interest. In Yiddish, the word interest means like, something that he's really aiming for, something really, what is the purpose, what is the aim, what is the interest? I don't quite know how to say it. It's from the word interest. What is his real interest? What is the Eibusha really interested in? So he said, for that you have to have an ability to look carefully. Not always what you want to do, what you think is great, is really great. So you've got to know if it's Rotzen Avika Shabasham. And that's the Chiddush of Yehuda ben Tema. Not only he tells me you've got to be energetic like a lion, no, he says you've got to use all the energy for the Rotzen Avika Shabasham. But what does the Eibusha really want of you? Not what you think is great, but what does he really want of you? What is your emerson? Nakuda, that you're doing what he really wants. And that's an amazing. And I remember the way he said it sort of remained indented in my memory. How they always said, you should speak with a bit of a lisp, He said, David showed interest. David showed a saksachan. He said, do you ever see interest? What does he really want? That's a very profound thing. And immediately afterwards, Yehuda ben Tema says, he wrote some of Anoha, she bona beis hamikdash b'mheira v'yomeinu omein tzelab. So that's the way Pirkei always finishes, Lamaisa. Because the rest of it is a brisa. Pirkei is not really Pirkei, it's a brisa. So for now we see that if you hold by Yehuda Ben Tema that you're really looking, like Rav Abba said, for the interest of the Eibusha, you really want to do His will, and you're looking be'emes for what is the emes the thing that I should really be doing, then you're halfway to building the Beis HaMikdash. Then you're an emes of Meshachas. You follow? Then you will say after everything, you hear us move on us, you put a Beis HaMikdash. You'll know that that's the element, Tachlis. And does the emes of Rav. All right, so I wish everybody a little good manucha. We should be gesund to manucha. And we should find him.
רפואה שלמה לשני מרגלית, בת רגינה מלכה. יש לה מחר ניתוח. אז יהיה בהצלחה.
אמן. רפואה שלמה. לחיים, לחיים.
רפואה שלמה.
Is he coming himself here too?
לא עדי, נכון?
לא יודע.
No, another guy.
He said 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
מהכיכר? מהכיכר מלמעלה.
Five minutes.
He doesn't mind waiting for him.
Wait a couple minutes. He's okay, he said.
Okay, so that's an akuda. At a ganturin, you have to look for what the Seir should really want. Not what looks to be great, but what is the issue? That should have been taken. That's what she said. Last is retain of Yerushalayim. The Rebbe said he should say, last is mitzvahs retanecha, or mitzvahs Hashem. Last is mitzvah. What's it retain of Yerushalayim? You have to do the Hebrews will. Not just what looks to be good, but what is his will? What is his will? What is he really? But Kirosh Rababa, what is the interest? What's the image? Hashem should help us. It's not so simple. It's not so simple. And in the Sikha, there's so much in the Sikhas. There brings this whole doom, what I just brought to Rotze and show you. And the Rebbe says, the Rotze is a tremendous aveda. To really hold by Rotze, you kind of want to leave behind everything. Yeah, like you saw tonight, how you showed me, Perignon. A person is holding by that, he's holding by big things. Half will be cases, I'll tell you, but that's not the kavanah. Yeah, the ultimate, you got to be able to know, what is the raton? What is the real raton? That's a very profound, tremendous, gewaltig, deep in this. And that's Yehuda Ben Tema. You have to be all your energy, and all your lions, and your leopards, and your deers, and everything. Yeah, they're all going to be devoted to what is the ultimate purpose. And that's why we have a Rebbe, Baruch Hashem. Yeah, we have the great Rebbe, Melech HaMashiach, and he's shown us that our rotten, Ikri, and all of our inyanim have to be to bring Mashiach. That's the Gula Shlema. That's it. And we're holding by the completion of the whole Bria, the ultimate purpose of everything. So Mitzad Echad, it's a tremendous demand. But Mitzad Hasheni, it's an unbelievable privilege to have the schuz, to be involved in finishing off the whole creation. Involved in finishing the ganze creation. That's retain of Yicha. It might be comfortable to sit back a bit and say, oh yes, but not for me. I'm just Balabati Sheh. Forbidden to say that. You got to get involved. That's retain of Yicha. So, immediately he wrote some for us. You bought a bit of it. Immediately. Good, Chaim guys.
Chaim,
הרב גפני יהיה בריא וחזק.
אמן.
הוא עשה גליץ' באמצע שבת שבוע. מיזוג.
Thanks to Hashem that I saw Chassidus. How was I going to that? I don't know, but picture. And thanks to Hashem that I saw people like Rav Abba. I saw him in action and I heard from him so much. Thanks to Hashem. I saw a lot of Chassidus. Yeah. I was there to see Reb Shaul Ber of Zisland. And he was mashpia in the Bebit of the Rebbe Rashab. And when he was a bocha, even before he was married, the Rebbe Rashab said that he has to be a mashpia for a kita. Even before he was still a bocha. The Rebbe Rashab said about him that he has to be. Wow. Yeah, and I met him, Reb Shaul Ber. I met him. And by opinion, I was so. I actually saw and spoke with him. It's beautiful face. These guys had the hottest pun him. You tell them there's something to it about the other guy. Good. Okay, guys. So I think we should, by the time we get up to
yeah. או ברכת המזון.
עכשיו, יהי רצון בפניו, שיבון הבייס המקדוש במהירים.
דרכם הברוכה כאיש אחד בלב אחד. הברוכה כאיש אחד בלב אחד. ייתן זל sein כאיש אחד בלב אחד. That's against the book.
That's that.